Okay, okay. So again, hopefully I covered this bit or didn't cover this bit. So I'm kind of going backwards a bit. So hopefully it will overlap with what I did last week. So last week I mentioned that the enemy that we're up against is essentially our brother Esau and his children, and I might have said that I think I went through the fact that Esau was symbolized by the eagle, and you can see where the eagle, who they were, wherever the eagle was. And Rome was one of those places where the eagle was. So yes, Romans were Eden. Okay. But it turns out, just like I mentioned in Greece, there were more than one level of Romans. So the very first Romans were the Etruscans, who were black. They were of the family of Japheth. Japheth, Japheth, whatever. But again, the name stealers, as they became known, they actually took over that population, and then they became the Romans, right? And you can find find the evidence of that in the book of Jasher. It actually tells you the children of Chittim, who were the Etruscans, they were the children of Japheth, are the Romans, okay, who dwell in the land of Canopia by the river Tiberu, which is the Tiber, and essentially one of the sons of Esau, Zepho, was actually fighting for them, and they made him king. And it says Zepho reigned over the whole land of Chittim and the land of Italia for 50 years. And later on, it tells that so you had a group of Edomites ruling over Rome, essentially, and there was the original group of Edomites back in the land of Mount Seir. And here in the book of Jasher, chapter 90, it tells you that they united and became one kingdom. So this, again, I've already sort of slightly mentioned it. We're going into the Khazars now. The Khazars are a mixture of the Edomites, the Canaanites, and the Japhethites. Can never get that right. So yeah, they became known as the Serpent People, or the Name Stealers. They were the Serpent People because, again, they showed all the genetic traits of the fallen angels. So they were warlike. In fact, people would use them as warriors. They'd hire them as warriors. And unfortunately, when you hired them, they would fight your battle for you and usually win. But then they'll turn on you and take you over as well. So they became known as Serpent People. But I already mentioned last week that they became known as the Name Stealers because the area where Khazaria was, which is now modern-day Ukraine, that was the gateway to the Far East. So anybody from Europe wanting to trade with the Far East, China and whoever, they would have to pass through the Khazars' land. And what would happen? They'd be met by a Khazar who would be all friendly and smiley and welcome them in and take them into their home and give them food and drink, lots of drink, and find out everything they could find out about this merchant. So who they are, what their name, where they come from, and what the trade was, who were they going to meet, how much they were going to offer, what they were going to buy, the whole lot. And then they'd murder that person and then pretend to be that person and go and make the trade. So, and then all evidence of that trade will disappear, and that person would take on the identity of the murdered trader. as I said, they extended that model to taking over whole countries. So as I said, this was the other half of the of that group. So you had one group that became the Khazars, and another group became the Ottoman Empire. So Ottoman, sometimes known as Ottoman, but it was Duke Temen. I went through the names of the children of Esau before. One of them was Duke Temen, and Ottoman is Duke Temen. So that was the other branch of the Edomite clan. And yes, here's Khazaria, which again is modern day Ukraine. So there's often confusion about who these people were, and throughout history there are different names, but the Roman nose is exactly the same as the Jewish nose, because they're the same people. Even though they call themselves different things, they were the same people. And they're still the same people, because the Jewish people today say that they're warring against Edom, who are the Romans.
Right.
But they themselves are Edom, who were the Romans. Again, it's misdirection, right? And again, if you look at the description of Esau, he was deceptive and a cunning hunter, right? So he was skilled in the arts of deceit, and that's half the battle that we're fighting here. Is a battle of the truth, actually, lies and the truth, which they're masters of deceit. So go into the fall of Rome. Okay, so Rome fell. I can't remember what year it fell, but Rome fell, and it followed the Dark Ages. Why was it called the Dark Ages? Because we ruled at that time. That 1,000-year period after Rome fell, all the noblemen and the kings, right, were all whitewashed. They're all whitewashed, and so all the accounts of these kings were us, but yes, they were, and they were the ones ruling in the Dark Ages. The white people of that time, they were actually stripped naked and banished. Oh, recording stopped.
Don't worry, brother. They're on my side. They're trying to get me on my side, brother. But
another word for him was satyr. Right? So a satyr is half man, half goat, and you can see how a hairy man of the woods running around on all fours, as they would tend to do, might look like a half man, half goat. Okay. That word satyr, by the way, is also means devil, and I'm not sure if I cover that in this, but I might go into that. So here's a tapestry from the year 1440 called Wild Man and Moors. Now, whenever you see the word Moor, right, sometimes it means the actual Moors, which were our people who were conquered by the Arabs over in Africa. Right? They're the actual Moors, but the word Moor was retroactively applied to anybody who was black. So half the time you can't tell if they're referring to actual Moors or just black people. Anyway, in this case, right, you can see the wild, shaggy, hairy people out there with sticks and stones against the black people in a castle, all dressed well, with a king and queen up in the top of the castle there. Right? Now, one little detail that tells you that you're dealing with Israelites is that Israelites are usually depicted with jewelry, such as earrings and stuff, but also a headband, okay, a headband around their foreheads. And you can find that actually in, I think it might be Deuteronomy or or Exodus, where we were actually commanded to write the 10 Commandments and put them, as it says in the book, frontlets around our forehead. Yeah. So whenever you see on heraldry, especially a black person with earrings and a headband, that tells you that they were Israelites. Okay, and here in this tapestry, you can see they're wearing headbands. So this picture. It's called, and I can't remember now, the grand ball of the savages, or something like that. Now it's depicted as a grand ball, and people would dress up as wild men. But here you're clearly seeing that it's wild men being washed down and shaved up, and they've been having clothes put on them.